everybody, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about bees. So we set up the beehives. My second year beekeeping, my fourth year altogether interacting with bees, but my second year having a hive of my own. And I kind of wanted to just show you guys around like what the process is for installing a new package of bees. In this video I just am going to show you kind of what equipment I use, kind of basics of beekeeping and both hives that I set up. And then after that, next week, I'm going to film the first hive inspection, and we're going to go through and kind of see what you need to look for if you're starting to think about keeping your own bees, what you look for in the first hive inspection, which is after about a week. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It's going to be kind of cool. We're going to go through all that today. As always, if you are not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and press the subscribe button. If you're thinking of becoming a beekeeper, this could be a helpful resource just because I'm going to go through from start to finish kind of what to expect from a beehive and what kinds of things to check for, especially if you're a newbie. So stay tuned for that. Also, follow us on Instagram and Facebook if you aren't already. We're at Poppy's Seeds Farm, just the same as our YouTube channel. So I look forward to seeing you there. Alright, here we are. This is my 10 frame hive. I was using this last year, and you can see I put the frames inside. My 8 frame hive is looking a lot cleaner because it's brand new. The 10 frame hive, you can see around the edges there's some propolis built up and even some honeycomb at the bottom there that the bees have built. It has this waxy frame, and that actually inspires the bees to keep building wax up on that frame, so it kind of gives them a guide to go off of. Alright, here's the 8 frame hive. I've got 2 large brood boxes stacked on each other because I want to inspire them just to lay eggs. Here's the entrance. I still have to put the wooden hive entrance in. I'll show you that in just a little bit, but that's where they get in. These boxes sit on the base, and there's a hive cover up here. That is where the bees get in and out from the top. It's better to have a small hole there so that they can kind of temper what gets in and out, because sometimes predators will come, like ants and things like that. Alright, here's our 10 frame hive. It doesn't have any frames in it right now. I actually have to reuse some frames from last year, so I'm going to go through my big box and see if I can find any. It's looking like it's only honey frames in here. Honey frames are actually a lot smaller than brood frames, and these ones without any of that waxy coating, these are for the bees to build honeycomb on. So I had some honeycomb last year built up on these. This is just going to be a size comparison. You see how big the brood frames are comparatively, so be careful if you're buying frames. You want to get brood frames for brood boxes. Alright, so I just set it up this way for now. I actually put on top an empty brood box with a top feeder. I don't think I'm going to keep it this way. I'm just going to keep it right now because I know that ants tend to come to this hive a lot. This is the 8 frame all set up. So we've got the entrance feeder there. I just put sugar water in it so that bees can build up their honeycomb. They actually need a lot of nectar and sugar to build the comb. And there's our entrance. I'm going to put it in there. I had to cut it so that it would fit with the entrance feeder. And we just feed them in the spring. I don't keep the entrance feeder on all year round. It's just kind of to give them a good start building their honeycomb. Alright, I'm headed off to get the bees. I've got my gloves on and I've got my mask. They're setting it up this time so that you actually have a 20-minute window to pick up your bees, which is kind of crazy. So I'm going to get there between 1:40 and 2. That's my 20-minute window. And I'm going to pick up my 2 bee packages, and then when I get back, I'm going to go ahead and install them. So wish me luck. I brought 2 pairs of gloves, one for the way there grabbing the bees and one for the way back. And I'll see you guys when we get to the bee place. Alright, so we picked them up. 2 packages of bees. You might be able to hear them buzzing in the background. They come with a little can of sugar water to eat while they travel, so we're gonna drive for about half an hour back home, and that'll kind of sustain them until they get into the hive. We'll take them home and install them in the hive, and I'll see you guys there. Okay, we're home. The bees are home. They are buzzing like crazy, and it's perfect because the sun finally came out. It's been cloudy all day, and just in time for us to get back, the sun came out, which is great because bees do not like cloudy days, so they're going to be a lot less cranky when we install them. So I'm going to bring them out, put them by the hive, give them a chance to kind of settle, put on my suit, and then pop them open and put them in the hive. So here we go. Here they are. I separated the 2 packages, and they're ready to go in. Alright, I'm going to start with this hive. First thing I gotta do is open it up. And this is that sugar water I was talking about. So I'm going to take that can out first, as you see. Alright, hive's open. Take out the sugar water. You can see some bees cling to it because they've been eating that on the whole trip over. Inside they have the queen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take her out, and you can see the bees cluster around her because all they want to do is protect the queen. Inside that little queen cage, there's a plug made out of sugar at the end, and they'll actually eat that away so that she can come out of the cage and start to lay eggs. And that takes about a week. Okay, I bang the bees just to stun them, and then I pour them in. And all they want is to be with the queen, so they are not really going to be flying in the air, they're not really going to be trying to sting me. Bees are actually quite gentle, and what they care about is maintaining the hive and keeping the queen safe. So that's why the queen is caged, so that we don't lose her, and so that they have some kind of affiliation with the hive. And they'll start to build up, hopefully, through that. I just will lean this thing, it's actually called a bee bus, which I think is a really cute name. I'm just going to lean it against the hive so any stragglers can find their way back in. Alright, I'm going to close them just for now, but not all the way. And I think I'm actually going to put a honey super on the top just so they have some space to expand, and so it's less likely that they swarm from being kind of cramped in there with just one brood box. Here's our 8-frame hive. So it's the same process. Just going to open it up. And I'm going to install the queen in the bottom brood box, actually, because I want them to be able to move up and keep the queen at the very bottom so that maybe she'll start to lay eggs starting from the bottom and working her way up. So I take that top box off just to be sure that I can put her in the bottom. There's the sugar water. You can see it has some holes in the top so that it kind of leaks down into the package. I'm going to take the queen out, and as I said before, it takes about a week for them to eat that sugar plug away so that she can come out. I'm just checking to make sure she's alive in there, and she is. So that's why we do our first hive inspections after a week, because we're not going to know if she's been laying eggs before a week, because she's still going to be stuck in her cage, and I don't want to disturb the bees' process of building comb before that. So it's hard to leave them alone, but you gotta for about a week so that they can get settled. Alright, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to stun the bees, and I'm going to pour them in. They like to stay in a large cluster. And when you're beekeeping, you get a lot of feedback from the bees. As I put this box on, I really gently lower it, and the bees actually can tell that something's coming if you're really, really gentle and kind of put it at an angle and finesse it. They will get out of your way. They will also give you feedback if you're about to squish them, and they'll tell you pretty much before they sting you. They'll give you kind of a warning buzz, and they put out a pheromone that smells like bananas. So if you smell bananas and you're beekeeping, my recommendation is just to close up the hive and come back at it another day. Alright, that looks good. I'm just going to close it back up. It's always the hardest thing to have to wait after installing them, but it's going to be really cool to go back in after a week and see what they've been working on. You can see here how the bees lift up their back end and flap their wings on their way up to the hive. These are just the workers that have already been in the hive, helping all the leftover bees in the bee bus to find their way into the hive using a pheromone. Alright, the bees are officially in and it was pretty painless. I have 2 hives this year because I really want to see the differences between both, and I also, last year I had a 10 frame hive and this year I have 1 10 frame and 1 8 frame, which literally just means the number of frames per box. So 10 frame boxes are a lot heavier and I'm not super strong, so it will be nice to have an 8 frame hive this year just to kind of see the difference in weight, and also just to see the difference in how the bees develop it and build it up. I didn't have enough brood box frames, the larger ones for the bottom box, for my blue hive, so I have a honey super on top, which usually you don't want to really put a honey super on quite yet. I want to really have them focus on building comb and laying eggs, but we're going to wait about a week and see what goes on. So we're going to check back in on our next video and do our first hive inspection for each hive and really get in there and see how they're growing and what's going on. I'm hoping that they have enough space in each hive that they won't swarm, because in the spring bees sometimes will get the idea that, you know, they're like, I don't want to be here, I want to go find my own place to live, this box is too containing. So hopefully I gave them enough space that they'll feel like they have some room to build up brood, and they can get the queen out there and she can start laying. In about a week we'll have a better idea of how that's all developing, but stick with it. Next week we're gonna do our first hive inspection, which I cannot wait for. It really officially feels like spring now that the bees are here, so I'm super happy. All right, see you guys.